I'm going to not read the notices hereby given since you can't figure that one out if you're not online. I will say if anybody online has any issues to troubleshoot issues with connection at the time of the meeting, please follow this link, https://support.zoom.us/hc/en-us/section/20305593-troubleshooting. You got all that down? I'm impressed. If you still experience issues, email customerservice@greenmountainwater.org, and our excellent IT staff will assist you as soon as possible. The district does not discriminate on the basis of race, age, national origin, color, creed, religion, sex, sexual orientation, or disability in the provision of services. People with disabilities needing reasonable accommodation to attend or participate in a district board meeting can call 303-985-1581 or email customerservice@greenmountainwater.org for assistance. Please give notice as far in advance as possible so we can accommodate your request. Well, shall we see if we have a quorum?
Yes.
Dave Garner, present.
Todd Hooks, present.
Roger Wendell, present.
Dave Whitman at the very end.
Karen Morgan, the board president, is unavailable this evening. She has a family emergency, and I declare that her absence is excused unless there is any opposition. So declared.
I just signed for Karen. Is that good or bad?
Yeah, well.
We'll have to redo that one.
I mean, what are the odds?
So
there are only 4 spots.
I'll call this meeting to order and declare we have a quorum with 4 members present. Directors matters. Are there any disclosures from the directors? Todd? Roger? Okay.
I signed in the wrong spot.
Oh, okay.
Maybe one disclosure.
Yes.
Director Hooks and I met with staff earlier in the week, kind of to work on employee issues, but mostly to kind of figure out what direction to go as far as this hiring process. And I hope I didn't get a chance to look at the agenda, but I hope the hiring question that I posed is part of the agenda.
I think there's something there. I'm going to check it to see if it's what you want.
It's kind of looking for a committee.
Yeah. Approval or additions to or deletions from the agenda.
Well, did Karen have anything that she was going to address specifically that we are not, other than her letter?
I'm going to take care of that for her.
Okay.
And I think not. I think she was going to raise issues in number 11.
Okay.
So I think we can probably handle that. We're probably okay. Anyone have any additions? No?
Not personnel.
Okay, public comments. Great. Per past motion of the Green Mountain Water and Sanitation District Board of Directors on May 11th, 2021, members of the public wishing to address the board during the public comment period are asked to keep the comments civil and related to the items on the agenda or to the conduct of district business. Members of the public wishing to address the board will be recognized by the board to maintain proper quorum. Since the Green Mountain Water and Sanitation District Board values your input, we always offer additional opportunities for the public to provide comments by using the district's email system or by phoning into customer service in the event that they do not have an opportunity during the meeting set aside for public comment. Okay. Sort of butchered that, but
You're going to start doing that online.
let's start in the room. Anyone in the room wish to address the board? Or just not at this time. Okay. This is the only time in the meeting you get to do it.
I can joke out of the meeting.
Excuse me?
I can joke out of the meeting.
Oh, okay. Well, might be 11 o'clock. Online, I see 2 hands raised. Is that right?
Alex Clarkin had his hand raised first.
Okay. Alex, please go ahead.
Good evening, all. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we miss you.
Well, I wanted to start out by that yeah, just reminiscing on the times past. It was a pleasure to serve on the board with you, Dave and Todd. So with that being said, I have a couple of topics in mind here. One, it is my understanding that recently an application for a Metro District for by Cardell has gone before the city or will be going before the city. And having done a core request for the service plan, I am curious as to whether or not the district will be doing anything about the district's name being mentioned in there in various manner. So that's just, I'm going to leave that with the board, and I believe the board will do the right thing by the constituents, because I do believe that the board works for the constituents only, not for City of Lakewood or any given developer. Second topic is, you know, there's some ongoings, I understand, in the area of the Federal Center. And I just wanted to read a little bit here through the district's regulations. And in section 5.6.4, as far as will serve letters, I'm just going to read straight from it. My apologies. At the sole discretion of the board, a will serve letter may be issued by the district outlining the conditions of water and sewer service to a particular parcel. The will serve letter is conditional based upon requirements set forth by the district, including having capacity to service the project. Developer, owner, and customer may be required to pay for a capacity study, which does not guarantee that there will be any commitment from the district to provide the service. Issuance of the will serve letter does not constitute a contract in any form. The will serve letter is merely a placeholder for the future potential capacity. And then there's additional terms when it comes to will serve letters. And a developer and or owner must submit an application for will serve letter and pay all associated fees separate from the system development and or the tap fees. And then that section goes on. I suggest you look at it. That's 5641. And then to go on further, there's additional terms for as far as the reserve capacity go in section 5642. Upon issuance of a will serve letter at the sole discretion of this district, the district will hold the requested capacity, if such exists, in reserve for a period not to exceed 24 months from the date of the letter. If the will serve letter lapses past that period, new capacity studies as well as other requirements at the sole discretion of the district may need to be conducted to determine if the will serve letter will be reissued. So I'm not going to bore you with the rest of the details. I mean, I'm sure you all have access to the regulations of the district, and I suggest that they're perused by the legal counsel as well as the board again. And I know you will do the right thing by the constituents of the district. Again, thank you all so much for doing what you do. It is not an easy place to be. There's a lot of people coming at you with various demands, and I appreciate your professionalism in handling all of those demands. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Before I call on the next person, can we unmute Dylan?
Dylan can unmute himself.
Oh, Dylan, if you want to unmute yourself, I'd kind of like to have you available just to speak up whenever you want to.
Sure, I can do that.
Thank you very much. The second hand was Mr. Caldwell, I think.
That's correct.
Please, sir, go ahead.
Good evening. I'll be brief. I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Scott Caldwell, and I'm the leader of the Denver office for Lincoln Property Company in Denver. We recently purchased the 59 acres at the Federal Center Station. More than anything, I wanted to take this opportunity at your board meeting to say hello, introduce myself, and just let you know we're all excited to work with you about on this site and hopefully deliver a live, work, play community that the entire community can be proud of. We were attracted to the site because of its TOD urban infill nature. And our goals are really to sort of satisfy that and again, bring something to the community that everybody can be proud of. And so just thanks in advance and looking forward to working with you all.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Imara, good evening. Welcome.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak once again. Okay, so my first response is what he said, and I'm referring to Alex. Alex said it all, and I'm saying ditto. And I know it's not just the two of us, that many constituents in the Green Mountain Water District are very concerned about extraterritorial service. And the assumption by certain developers that obsolete, old, non-executed will serve letters from old boards and old administrations are somehow valid. And we all know they are not. And so I will simply add on to what Alex said. Please remember that any extraterritorial service on the Leitner property being developed by Cardell, named Indigo, means we're getting back in bed with people that have no problem suing us, that have no problem costing us hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees over years. Because if you read their plan, it does involve being tied in with Fossil Metro District, Fossil Ridge Metro District. And we still have legal actions with them. So I urge Green Mountain to do the right thing by its constituents, to remember that there are great concerns about extraterritorial service, especially with a known entity and groups of people that have no problem suing us and forcing our hand, bending our arm at our expense. Developers are in business to make a profit. Woohoo, great, wonderful. I'm an entrepreneur myself. That's our job. But we should not be subsidizing that profit and paying for any development costs or having it cost us. We have an aging infrastructure in Green Mountain. We're typically at capacity on most lines, and we need a lot of repair and maintenance within the district. And that needs to be a priority before time is set aside to help a developer make a profit when he has other alternatives. So that's all I'm going to say about Leitner, Cardigo / Indigo. I wasn't going to speak about the Denver Metro, the Denver Federal Center property, but since Mr. Caldwell introduced himself and sounds like he's planning on working with you, I've seen that proposal as well. Simply suffice it to say that I don't think any Green Mountain Water District staff members should be required to work in, around, or on toxic soils. There are still many questions about the ability to put in the infrastructure that's necessary on that toxic property. And I certainly will back our staff at Green Mountain Water District in not requiring any of them to have to dig or work anywhere near that property. There were questions about putting residences on that property and still are. So none of this is a done deal. And lastly, by the developer submitting an old letter from eons ago, implying there might be rebates to their development costs, I just remind you that you know well that your constituents are against subsidizing or paying, again, for another developer's profit margins. If you want to develop a property, more power to you, but do it at your own expense. Do not come to the citizens and expect us to pay for your costs of creating your profit-making business. That's it. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you, Amara. Ludmilla, good evening. Welcome.
It's me. How you guys doing?
Good, thank you.
I say everything that Amara said was spot on. She took the words right out of my mouth. Alex, great points. I'm just going to add one more. The ravine bridge, the bad ravine bridge. We need to make sure the city of Lakewood is responsible for the maintenance. It's not our bridge, it's our structure underneath. That's all I have. Everybody keep smiling. Take care.
Thank you, Mel.
Thank you very much. Second chance for anybody else?
Yeah, Randy Little.
Randy, welcome.
I'd like to raise my hand, but I can't get it to work. And I'm in the computer. Yeah, I'm in the computer business and I can't get it to work. I just had a comment, quick comment for what it's worth about the Federal Center 5 years ago, 6 years ago now. I happened to take 5 citizens of our neighborhood, which I live right next to it, on a tour of the Federal Center with the head of the EPA. It was a 20-minute tour, which ended up to be 2 hours. And he had stated on many occasions that the land that you're questioning is severely polluted with all sorts of things. This was the Remington Arms dump for years. And it's all documented with the EPA. So I'm sure you all know about that, and I'm sure you're going to look into it. But the concern I have is who's going to be liable for lawsuits if the sewer lines and the water lines become contaminated with this pollution. I guess that would be the question I would have. And the other statement I would have is I would take a real good look at this before you guys make any decisions. That's my statement, but thank you.
Thank you, Randy, very much. Anyone else online? No hands. Anyone else in the room want to speak? Please.
My name is John Poston, and I believe I live at 106 West Bassford Place. I am here speaking because I don't believe that you should be making decisions about this based on facts from 2007. This contract was signed back then. And interestingly enough, the deed that came from the city to one of the developers was a company that was also established in 2007. I think that at the very least, you should do some major study. I have been working very hard on getting a FOIA about this land. I have filed with FOIA in 9/21. I have gotten some paperwork. I've had to have it redacted. I am now in an appeal that is being mediated with the National Archives. I think at the very least, there should be some kind of study. And I can show you that last week, because I'm doing this and such, I was sent a photograph of them doing some repairs on the federal land. And they are in hazmat suits. I think that is no things. And I think we should try and find out things. Problems that I've been having. The situation is the people have no leverage. And the people don't know the truth. I'm not sure anybody will ever share this. I strongly suggest that at the very least, you get some new studies.
Thank you very much. No other public comment. I'll close item 4. Move on to 5A, minutes from the May 9th regular board meeting. Any changes?
Did you guys get my comments?
Comments were submitted to the reporter, and don't believe we received a marked up version back yet. Yeah, I don't think so.
You want to wait to approve until you see it?
Maybe. And I also asked the question, which of course I would like to get an answer to the question. So why don't we wait until next time then?
Okay. We'll revisit 5A next time, May 18th. Is any changes?
No,
on that one?
It was fine.
Okay.
I'd like to move that we accept the May 18 special meeting.
Second? I'll second. Is there,
yeah, I thought you said second.
Yeah, no, that's sorry, there was a question. Any discussion? Assuming none, please vote.
Aye.
Okay. 5A is 5B rather is approved. Vote of 4-0. Moving on to 6. Jesse, you're up. Wow us.
I guess I'll do what I can.
Okay, so I just put a memo to the board in the board packet. Hopefully everyone got a chance to read it that way. We didn't spend too much time. And I'll try and keep this brief. What I'd like to cover here tonight is getting a feel from the board how they feel about where this sits as a priority with the board, and I'm prepared to kind of lead on this and start tackling the accessibility both in office and online. One of the major things that I noted here is compliance is required by July 1st of 2024. So I'd like to get moving on it pretty quickly. I'm not quite sure the total scope of how much work we might be in for on the office side, inside our environment here. As far as online, we've got a pretty good feel for it. We partly, like I said in the memo, we really did our previous website update to try and address a lot of those issues. Working with our current web developer, we're able to tackle most compliance issues with a lot of tools that they apparently have. So I know I mentioned company Moncito, not to be confused with Monsanto's, which just in case we're not working with it. Moncito, they sound very similar to me every time I see it. They did, there's an offer from them, which I had attached here just as an example of the sort of cost these tools tend to run for. You know, these are things that sit on the site. They automatically scan the site. So when you upload something, it makes sure all of your content, both front end and back end, you know, things that you're not seeing on the front end are compliant. We'll work with screen readers, we'll work with anything. So just kind of looking to see how the board feels about particularly cost and how much autonomy you'd like me to run with in addressing this, or how hands-on the board would like to be involved back and forth in. So like if we hire this company, is it like an annual contract? How do they typically, and I mean, are they just like installing software, like software that overlooks our software, or essentially what are they? Yeah, there's two things that come with that in that Moncito quote. They have one software that monitors the site, and you can run scans and it tells you, you know, you've missed a tag on this thing, or you've got something bolded, but you haven't actually said that it's bold. You know, it's just, those are the kind of things that you're trying to tackle. And then there's also a tool in there for PDFs, Word docs, things like that, that it's designed to scan those and make sure those are actually particularly screen reader functional. I'm just being frank, I've never had to, it's not something I've thought about before. Like I just, you know, I make a Word document and I wasn't thinking about it. So we've got, in the case of everything on our site, whatever is published on our site must be compliant, and not just including the web pages, but any documents we upload, so PDFs, Word docs, anything like that. I'd like to kind of see if we couldn't knock that out ourselves first, before I would want to run down a software. The cost isn't, you know, it's not outlandish, but it's, you know, $4,300 a year. And I feel like that's, you know, not so small as to say, well, let's grab this tool and it's not Grammarly. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It definitely has a much more outsized impact. That's on par with other software packages we run that do a lot more. So I really want to know that there was, you know, no way to be able to do this in-house or that there are other tools. So I'd like a little more time with that, but I'm expecting this company and, you know, doing some research, they feel pretty standard. So I'm guessing those are going to be kind of the costs. We'll see.
Okay. So, you know, I guess the first thing that just struck me would be, so say we do it or you guys do it. I mean, their software, if we got to near the end, you said July 1 next year is the compliance date. You know, if we got close and we weren't able to, I guess, create something that we thought was adequate, we could at that point move to go there, right? It's not something like we have to do this today.
No, they did offer part of, you know, as a thing is just a sales thing. So they did offer a proration to us this year where they, you know, there was a discount applied to that, and they were really trying to land the deal. And the person I've been working with from their sales team is very honest and not, it doesn't feel like an oversell sort of thing, like we're trying to right size it for you. But I've just been more of the mind of like, I'd like to try and tackle this a little bit in-house, but that means, you know, I'll have to run some, you know, trying to run that quickly and do that internally, and try to save money is like where I'd like to personally start.
You and Sam both work on this?
Probably, yes, although I wasn't going to immediately volunteer. But yeah, we'd both be under the bus. Yeah, whichever way you want to look at it. But
so
yeah.
Presumably Moncito would be dealing with a lot of customers in a similar situation coming up on July next year.
Yeah, they have several Colorado clients.
So we might not be first in line. Today, we might be first in line.
It's possible. I think they're big enough that they can kind of onboard any company at any time. The tool is automated.
I just wouldn't want us to get in a position trying to get it done now.
Well, that's what I'm saying when it gets close. I mean, we still have virtual year.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. But
to answer his earlier question, I'd like to give Sam and Jesse a lot of autonomy in this regard, as long as they just report to us.
Yeah.
Let us know what kind of progress they're making and they can run with it.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. Dylan, I guess something for you then. Should I reach out to you as far as once I'm trying to navigate like legal matters, interpretation of the bills and stuff? Should I direct those kind of questions through you?
You know, I think that would be fine. I'm happy to answer those questions if I can, but I think the SDA would be a better resource.
Okay.
Because they're going to be fielding those questions from a lot more districts.
Perfect. Okay.
They're going to have, I imagine they're going to have resources that are just more efficient than my advice. So
okay.
Maybe take a dual track approach to that.
You might check and see if this is going to be a subject on the annual conference for SDA.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, and if it is, we probably should be there just to be aware.
And one thing that I spent all last week trying to dig into, and I couldn't find it either. I did not have these right search terms or was not finding what I was looking for, but I was in regard to SB 23-244, that's the accessibility compliance in workplace one. I really couldn't find a lot about whether the date is the same, July 1st, 2024, but whether compliance is necessary at what scale, like what quantity of your business needs to be compliant by that date, and is it everything that has ever existed in your catalog of? Yeah, I mean, it could be.
Guy just walked in and out of your office.
Yeah, very uncertain about what the scope of that is, and how we currently don't have anyone on staff that has any accessibility needs that I'm aware of. So do we still need to be totally compliant, or is that something that is meant to be like kind of tackled if you're bringing an employee on or something? So just questions about logistics and how to navigate that. I've never had to do that before, so
this is
the right side of things.
Okay. So this is more technically almost like for like ADA stuff in a way.
Yeah, yeah, it's the the HB 1110 and the SB 23-244 are both accessibility laws for online content and the workplace. So it's
almost hard for me to believe that we're not basically compliant anyway. I mean,
well, there's a lot, even just, I mean, I kind of just in initially digging into it, I kind of immediately had my eyes open about stuff that I was like, oh yeah, we have these things are compliant, or, you know, I already, you know, we've already tested even some of the basic Windows accessibility stuff comes up, and we, you know, run that and then shut that off. And it's like, okay, well that's
so this is giving people literally like access to information that, yes, and it's giving them access and safeguarding the water district at the same time.
Yeah, it's making, yeah, and there were elements of it that within the context of the bill, that's how you present information in the context of the workplace to make sure everyone, for instance, someone who's vision impaired, making sure they can still be a part of the workforce, and so how you have either, you know,
so they can enhance or make it bigger, do whatever they
yeah, and also how you describe things in your own writing process, your internal, like there's kind of some to me it looks like there's probably some staff education things that would need to be done too. So
you're saying like using certain verbiage that makes it more understandable,
right? The full, like an example that they gave on the site was like basically a full text breakdown of like a graph. Like a pie chart is not helpful if you're unable to see it. So they're talking about how, you know, this might just be a regular business practice that you're just rolling right into, and you need to rethink the way you're kind of doing your whole workflow, right, from top to bottom. So there is really a lot to it, and I'm trying to crack that open and understand that, but also looking to get some, not particularly from board, probably more from you, Dylan, of like what is our it more in the weeds of like how much compliance do we need right there, or is it as someone comes on board, and the web stuff is more straightforward. That you know, that's,
well, I agree with Roger. I think we should let you guys run with it, and to me, if it's something that seems it's getting complex by, you know, whatever March of next year, then we can look to software to become compliant.
I thought the figure for them was probably within the budget, but if it's not, come back and tell us. Give us a, you know, maybe every 3 months, let us know how it's going.
I think I might, just as a, you know, thinking out loud here, maybe it seems prudent to, when we're coming around to budget season, you know, maybe we'll put something in the budget this year to make sure we have something set aside to tackle this at a large enough value that we can make sure and get it done, with the hopes or the expectations that we won't need to necessarily spend that. Okay. As far as reporting to the board on it, are you interested in, you know, like every couple of months, keeping you updated?
Once a quarter is fine for me. Does that sound good? Or when do you think you need to tell us if you don't need to tell us?
If I come across something significant, you know.
But otherwise, go forth and do good stuff.
And how does this apply to the office access you mentioned in the beginning?
Yeah, SB 23 is the bill that has to do with workplace accessibility, ADA compliance stuff within the IT space.
Within the IT space or the entire office?
As far as I understand the scope of it, and that's just me just like popping open the actual bill and trying to read it and understand what the Senate bill says, it looks like the scope is around technology. There's already workplace ADA for the premise, you know, like those those laws existed. This was like a separate element specifically tackling technology.
Do we have an elevator in here now?
No.
Could be, is this something we might have to put in?
Well, there's ramp access here, and then there's access via the garage in the basement. So I would think there technically is access. If you're talking, that's like ADA, that's different than this compliance.
Yeah.
I mean, that's physical.
Yeah.
Did they do, when we were looking at a few years ago, the building reno, potentially, I think they did an ADA study then. I don't remember what the results of that were off the top of my head, but we may already have some information on the building's current ADA compliance. Might be able to dig that
I think
up.
we've got what we need from you guys. I'd like to try to keep the meeting moving along.
Okay.
With respect to
Awesome.
Mike's time,
Thank you.
if nothing else.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, moving on to item 7. So I reviewed all the unaudited financial statements, gone over all the expenses. And I would like to move that we accept the operating expenses, capital expenditures, the unaudited financial statements. So I'd like to make that motion.
I'd second that.
Any discussion? If not, raise your hand.
Aye.
Or say hi. Okay. 4-0. Moving on to number 8.
Well, actually,
sorry.
7C.
I'm sorry.
So here,
Apologies.
so I know, right? I think Karen and I, are we the only 2 signers right now, or any of you other signers?
Is it that document I just signed a moment ago? Is that
What do you know what document he signed a moment ago? Was that for
the deposit authorization?
Oh, deposit authorization.
We're gonna have to get a bigger copy of that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that is, sorry, this is Doug. That is for the First Bank authorized signers. And
Okay.
it was Todd, Roger, Karen. You were authorized. Dave Garner was authorized prior, but we have to get him back on because he's now voted back in, and then adding, I believe Mr. Wickman was also a signer, but it was mainly to remove Mr. Tyus from the account.
Okay. So we have people here tonight, we can sign the checks, then me and who all, so could Dave Garner sign or Dave Wickman? Or
technically you can all sign because those checks are going to go in the mail, and I'm going to submit that first thing in the morning to the First Bank, and we'll be fine.
Okay, thank you, Doug.
Okay. We'll take care of it. Okay, we ready to go to number 8, the district engineer report. Mike, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I could sit there, but actually I prepared a PowerPoint. Now I'm standing up just to prove before I was sitting down. No, I'll present from here so I can read the PowerPoint.
Whatever.
And I will keep it brief and just got some bullet points, but I would like to start with a little bit of a story. It's about an older engineer who was finally his time. He passed away, went up to heaven and met St. Peter at the pearly gates, and was ready to be entered into heaven. And St. Peter was like, sorry, you're not on the list. I can't let you in heaven. The engineer's like, well, I led a good life. I was a man of faith. St. Peter, I'm sorry about all that, but you're not on the list. I can't let you in heaven, so you're gonna have to go to hell. So a little time went by, and St. Peter got an updated list, and sure enough, that engineer was on there. So he called down to hell, got the devil on the phone. Said, that engineer I sent down, he really does belong here in heaven, so go ahead and send him up. Devil said, I don't think I'm gonna do that. And St. Peter's like, no, you need to. It's on the list and send him up. And the devil was going, well, since this engineer's been here, we developed the water and sand district. So now we have water and sand, water and sewer. We've got a ventilation system up and running. And next week, we hope to go live with air conditioning. And St. Peter says, I don't care about any of that. You need to send that engineer up here and need to send him up now. And if you don't, I'm going to sue you. And the devil started laughing and said, yeah, right, where are you going to get a lawyer?
I knew it was a lawyer.
Okay.
So that said, oh, I think there's a slide before that, but perhaps not. Okay, we'll run with this. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna make some initial remarks, having been here for a total of like not even 40 hours yet, but I do have some observations to make. And then those are the 4 agenda items that are on the agenda, and so I'll take those succinctly. So yeah, next slide, please. Oh, I skipped.
Go back to the first one.
A couple of them. Yeah. Opening observation. Long-term district plans. When I sat here at the regular meeting last month, I sat there and I listened to you talk about what you're looking for in a district manager, and the terms like program manager, which would be appropriate. But I would, as now the district engineer, right, I would recommend you hire the best district manager, because not only are there engineering issues, there are issues, there's financial issues, obviously, there's legal issues. So it's not like you would hire somebody, program manager / district manager / paralegal, and all of a sudden you don't need Dylan. And so it's not like you hire an in-house engineer or you have a district manager that's that engineering. All of a sudden you don't need your consultants. So that my recommendation as you search for that. And I know you're going to talk about that. You look for somebody that's got the full range of skills. Short-term district needs, I'll talk about that a little bit, but we are able to handle some of the things in-house now with me on board. Somebody from the field staff asked me, "Oh, you got to be busy," and I said, "Well, actually, I'm keeping these guys busy because I'm learning how to be an employee of the industry." Right? But so far so good, and these guys have been rock solid. Really, thanks. I think.
Sorry.
Yeah, no sweat. So anyway, so Respect Engineering was hired to design the trestles to support the pipe, obviously not the pedestrian bridge and not the barricades as we talked about. So I do understand that's been put on hold. So I guess moving on to something here, so I can continue. Yeah. Here, oh, the Atlantic Water Line Replacement Project, 1 or 2 meetings ago, RG Associates was hired as component construction admin, so they have started that. So that'll move forward. First they need to review the merit plans, make sure they're up to, you know, they were completed but not officially signed and approved. So they need to take that step, and then they'll bid the construction work. So that's going to move forward. And then the Kipling Collection Water Pipe project is essentially done. Construction is done. There's just some paperwork to do. And again, I let JBA know I was just going to handle that myself, or well, with Josh actually. Josh is handling it. Oh, and you know, I let JBA know that this in no way, shape, or form is this a reflection that the district is dissatisfied with their services.
Yeah. We're just saving money.
We are. We are.
Is part of your process doing lessons learned?
Like 40 years of lessons learned. I mean,
well, the Kipling collection wastewater pipe is essentially exposition development. I'm just wondering if we have a process for doing lessons learned. I mean, we must have learned something.
Oh, I see what you're getting at. I'm sorry, I wasn't being facetious. Yeah, lessons learned are a great practice. Absolutely. So yeah, a lesson learned after every project.
Since it looks like we don't do risk management yet, I'm just interested, you know, collecting that information. It's my government sensitivity.
Yeah, I think you know, I think it's done to some extent on an informal basis, yeah. But we don't have a formal process, Dave. So that's a great question.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and then maybe that'll be sounds like you want to
down the road.
Yeah,
we get too much.
Yeah, so it's a good segue into that. Okay, moving on. HDR did put together a report that I thought was very generic, very vanilla, but I did listen to their January presentation board, and I thought that was quite good. They kept using, well, the previous man, Jeff Tyus, you know, he kept calling it loan forgiveness. Well, that's a fancy way of saying a grant. So there are grants and low interest loans available. I know there are. My former associates are so busy with all the federal money. So that would be something in my tenure, as short as we all hope it is, that I'd like to keep that ball moving. I'll keep you updated as well. Yeah, assuming I make progress.
Whatever you can do to pay for yourself sounds good.
Yeah. There you go. Okay, next slide. So Josh actually put this together. There was one break. It was over the weekend, and then one of the access roads to the blue tank up on Green Mountain had a washout, and so Lakewood did inform us. Obviously, they got the complaint from the locals, but Josh and the guys took care of it. There's some picture right there. You know, I said City of Lakewood coordination. That really was for 2 reasons. One is it was, like I said, Lakewood that reached out to us, and the other is, you know, kind of back to my earlier question. I'll just take the lead from y'all. Is we do have a good working relationship with Lakewood, and so to whatever extent that's strained right now, my word, and perhaps I'm overstating it.
I think we're great at the working level.
Agreed. Okay, so I like that.
Yeah. We want to keep it.
We want to keep it. Agreed. Okay, next slide, please. There. Okay, and then everybody probably saw. I got the memo at the same time you did, literally. So they came in here, representatives of the development, including their engineer, met with us Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday of last week. A couple of things I want to say before that is number one, I'm going to keep it just at the engineering level. things about finances and agreements and all that stuff. But first, we got to know, what are we talking about in terms of pipes and pumps, right? And so I'm just going to keep it at that level. And I'm making this point, Dave, because it kind of got brought up at the two previous meetings that somehow I might be pro-development, I'd roller developers. And, you know, I am a resident, I am a ratepayer. My daughter and her family live in the district also. I'm a member of the Green Mountain, or I mean, Christ on the Mountain Church across the street. My daughter goes to Dunstan Middle School, about to go to Green Mountain. My interest is what's good for the district. And so I kind of, I'll be honest, I kind of resent some insinuations that my motive would be that I want to help developers. That could not be further from the truth, Dave. So I need to make that point. Okay. That said, we do know that the TOD's engineer has already asked for utility locates in the area. They've actually done some surveying. This week, we went ahead and provided the GIS maps to them, and then the TOD's engineer has provided the flow demands so that the modeling can be done. I think the May regular meeting, the board voted 5-0 that JVA would do that modeling. They have the information, they have the models. So I'll keep it strictly on the engineering level, keep you informed. I do think probably it was not, it was perhaps unfortunate that they attached that 2007 agreement because if I understand right, there's been an update to that agreement, and I did have a conversation and I let them know there's a 2014 amendment to it. And I think at one point, I'm kind of going back to reading some board minutes. Jeff Tyatt was to provide them with that 2014 amendment or access to it. And again, I can use some help. I have no idea where to find it, guys. So
yeah, so it's a 2009.
But we can.
But whatever, it's been amended.
Yeah. Discuss that in legal.
Yeah. Let me just interrupt here so we don't get too far down the rabbit hole. I'm going to propose a motion. I move that the district engineer, part-time though he may be, begin working with JVA or an engineering firm that you would choose from our pool of agreeable folks to present an engineering analysis as if we were proceeding along this, so we know what we're dealing with, and bring that to the board when you're ready. The Lincoln Properties people sort of gave us a timeline. We'll do it on our timeline, not their timeline, because we have to do it right. So if you would take that, and second part of the motion is that Dylan perform a legal analysis of the documents sent to us so that we know from a legal perspective what our obligation may be in responding to that.
I agree.
Is there a second?
I will second it.
May I add some discussion before you vote?
Yeah.
Let me just say this. What I'm trying to do here is to avoid discussion of something we don't yet understand. And we ought to have a professional analysis done both legally and from an engineering standpoint before we all start talking about it, so that we don't find ourselves months from now answering questions, depositions someday about things we talked about when we didn't know what we were talking about. So that's the purpose of trying to just not have a protracted discussion, respecting everybody's right to go ahead and talk anyway.
Well, then do we want to wait? So I guess, given what you just said, would we want to wait to even do that until we have our discussion tonight, so that we decide whether it's legal or not, and if it's under like our current description where we ask for certain things to be done and contracted and paid for by the developer?
What I would suggest is we go ahead and approve this motion now, and then after we come out of executive session, if we have to rescind the motion, at that time we can do so.
Or provide me further direction.
Is that feasible? and rescinding it, or is it better if we not do it and wait?
I think that's a fine motion. I don't see that this is on for executive session, this particular matter. I think that's fine to add.
It's not.
I can make some comments,
Yeah,
but I think it would be a good idea under any circumstances to have the engineering analysis before. Independent of my analysis.
Yes. Well, how about we vote on the motion? If anybody wants to call a question? Can't do that as chair.
Well, and if I'm understanding, at some point, we're gonna go into executive session.
Yes.
At that point, we can talk a little.
As soon as we approve or disapprove this motion, I'll get that on time.
Am I understanding?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
We have 4-0. I also move that we add, we do two things. 11, we move 11D to 11A. So Mike doesn't have to sit here and waste his time while we're talking about all those other issues. And add F, which would be the Guidance Center property.
I will second the motion.
Discussion? All in favor, signify.
Aye.
4-0. Or I should have noticed that earlier, Mike. I apologize. Anything else from you?
No, I'll sit down on director's matter just to learn more about what y'all do.
Okay.
And then obviously I'll excuse myself.
9A, someone wanting to take a picture of us, is that what that is?
In the past, for board of directors, we've had headshots on the website.
Yeah.
Wanted to see if that would be something that we would be interested in doing, but it's easier to have the board decision as a whole, because when they're trying to chase down people one by one to get them scheduled, it becomes kind of already. So I wanted to see if the board as a whole was interested in.
Are you thinking about taking a picture of us right now, or we submit something? Because I do have a headshot I could submit to you. Some people say it looks like Brad Pitt, but.
You know, Dave, you're an optimist.
There's a portrait photographer that we've worked with before, who's really easy to work with, very nice guy.
I honestly, my opinion is I wouldn't want to waste ratepayers' money on pictures. If we have a picture, please send them in.
Yeah, I'm thinking if there was a mafia guy looking for me, I'm really not.
Yeah.
My picture out there. It's already up at the post office.
Yeah.
And now you want to put more of them out there? Like,
I don't want to remind Adam Paul on too many occasions who I am. So I think that's a dead issue for the moment. Okay. Maintenance ops report. Who's doing?
No, we're on the district
sorry.
manager search. Update
I'm
with
sorry.
Roger.
I'm sorry. Let me put my other glasses back on.
You should have cataract surgery.
Yeah, I should have cataract surgery, shouldn't I? Where the heck are we anyway?
We're
I'm sorry. We're
on 9B.
9B. All right. Search update. Yeah. This is the chance for you to do your thing.
Favorable response. We're receiving quite a few applicants, but this will allow me to segue into C as well. But backing up just a little bit, in my opinion, we received one inappropriate application. I don't need to go into detail or anything, but I'd like the authority to just dismiss those, at hand.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
That might make it pretty easy. If everything is put up on SharePoint, and then we individually all read the resumes,
okay,
and then come up with our top 3 or 4. That's what we did last time, and it seemed to work out.
Okay, that's kind of what I wanted to segue into as well, as how do I share this? Which SharePoint would be best?
Yeah.
Okay.
Easy to do.
the question on that inappropriate, are we referring to a person
the pictures
submitted a picture?
Yeah.
Do we require pictures from anybody? I mean, wow, I don't recall ever looking at anybody's picture.
No.
So if they submitted a picture, it's inappropriate.
Throw
in the garbage and move on.
I read that as a bit of a legal trouble.
could be. But I agree with Dave. If everyone is given full consideration, then we all have the right as each director to just choose the ones that we believe are best suited for the district manager position and let the other ones go to the wayside.
Okay, well, I'll work with Jesse and Sam then and get this going on SharePoint, make all of these available to you.
We just like score our top 5. I
Right.
think that's what we did last time, and then it was pretty clear how.
Now, the guy with the weird picture, I'm wondering, was he just messing with you? He's not real, or?
No, it's a legitimate application. He just.
Okay, well. Just.
He's showing his level of commitment to something.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't want to know.
Okay.
The only thing I care about is what's on paper or on the screen.
Right, and so we can just use our discernment and discretion.
Sure.
To see if we think he's a viable candidate or not.
Yeah, and this is not to cast a cloud over all the other applicants. Great applications, plenty of applicants. It just one stands out.
Right. He's submitting a picture or something like that. Is there any implication we might run into a discrimination problem?
I mean, I guess if you say, I'm not hiring this guy because he's white, yes, but
well,
I mean.
If we don't see the picture, can they somehow?
Well, that's what I'm saying, where if we just look, I mean, I just think it comes down to us looking at their credentials and deciding who are the best potential candidates, regardless of the picture.
And well, that's my thought too, but I'm wondering, is he somehow portraying something political? I'm wearing my outfit or something, and by not allowing you to see my outfit, you're not taking into account that I'm a protected class that you should be thinking of. And yeah, I'm being weird here, but nowadays
it's not a protected class.
Yeah, no, I don't think that. I understand the concerns, and I don't think that they are. I don't think you need to be concerned.
But to satisfy inquiring minds, it's not pornographic. Just completely inappropriate for a resume that was attached to it. So I'll make that available to everybody.
Dylan, would it be acceptable if we were to retain the originals and remove the photograph of all candidates from the share drive that the board members would have access to?
That would be fine.
All right.
Yeah. Does everybody submit a picture?
No.
No.
Yeah, I didn't think we even did that.
Yeah. I never submit a picture of my resume.
Because we didn't require it, we can eliminate the picture and level the playing field for everybody.
Okay, good. So part 2 of my question then, as far as a committee, do we want to create a hiring committee to work with me, or do you want me to just continue as I am?
Well, I think you're doing great so far. And if we ultimately, like once we select the 5, then I don't know if we want a committee then to say narrow it to 3. And then those 3 then we'll interview with the entire board.
Yeah, I'd be comfortable at that point if you and Karen just work together and brought forward. It's going to be a numerical ranking of how we rank people. So you don't really get to choose. It's whatever the numbers sort out to be, the 1, 2, and 3.
Certainly. Part 3 of my question then is, do we want to set a date as to when we quit accepting these applications?
I thought we did.
Did we? Excuse me.
Did we not do that? I thought we did set a time limit.
I don't recall a date.
Okay.
Yeah.
But maybe because I'd like to present the rest of the board, all the applicants all at once.
Yeah.
Should we pick a date?
Well, are they still coming in?
Yeah, slowly.
Well, could we put a date on it tonight? Or is that not feasible?
I think we'd all like to be able to take some action.
So we opened it up
August meeting
a week ago or 10 days ago, maybe. How long ago would you guess that we opened up the?
2 weeks.
Yeah, I think it went live almost 2 weeks ago.
Obviously, the advertisement doesn't have a deadline.
Correct.
Well, so we would need to go back and then add that if we could, right? That there is a deadline, whether it be on the, I don't know who all we're using. I know it's like the water, the SDA or whatever. So like if we were to choose, say, do we want to just say how many applicants do we currently
have?
We're
at about a dozen, I think, right now.
What if we just gave 1 more week? Is there a certain notice on a time limit of notice?
No, that's not actually required.
So this is the 11th. If we gave the 18th.
Midnight on the 18th?
Yeah. So I'd like to make a motion that we cap applications midnight as of July 18th, 2023 for accepting applications. And at that time, since we already have a fair number of them.
18th would be a Tuesday, right?
Correct.
Well, I'm just thinking by the time I assume you guys are not gonna do it in the next couple hours. So by the time you get to it tomorrow or the next day, instead of 7 days, now it's 6 or 5. How about like the end of next week?
But we're not actually posting a date. We're just going to discontinue accepting applications. It's arbitrary.
There's no.
Well, I think you gotta tell people it's a deadline, because if I were, looking for a job again, I'd be like, number one, I better get on it, because here's their deadline, as opposed to if there is no deadline, I'll get to it tomorrow, then all of a sudden by the time.
Well, if we can certainly add it on one, that's fine. I don't know if that's possible, but if we can add it after the fact, that's great. If not, I just think we need to have a date. For some reason, I thought we did, but I think we need to have an end date. We just can't leave it open perpetually.
If I could just point out the formalities here, we have a motion. Is there a second?
So restate the motion, please.
So, okay, so my motion will be, after listening to Dave, I'm going to move that on Wednesday, July 19th at midnight, we end all acceptance of applications for the district manager position of the Green Mountain Water Board.
Is there a second?
I have a question. Do I have to wait until a second?
Mm-hmm. Is there a second?
All right, I'll second.
I'll second. Okay.
All right. My question is this an internal thing that guiding us, or are we going to put it out there that there's a deadline?
Now we're going to put it out there that there's a deadline.
Okay. I think we need to do that in all fairness.
And I'd like to amend the motion to make it midnight the 21st, that Friday night.
That's what I was originally.
And then I would make all the applications available to the board.
Are you accept the amendment?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
That's what I was saying.
So do we just need a new motion? Can I withdraw my motion?
He's amended your motion and you accepted it. So it's good.
Midnight the 21st, which is a Friday night.
And you're going to put that out. That's
yes.
a deadline.
And I'll work with IT staff to get that done.
That's all I was looking for.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I took a class in Robert's Rules of Order once. I hated it.
How come Robert's always in charge?
Yeah, I don't know. I think, well, I'm married to Roberta, so what can I say? All right. If I could only read this stuff.
Now we're on item 10, legal matters.
Legal matters, good.
Probably most of everything I have to say is going to be in the executive sessions, but there are a few non-privileged things to go over. The Camp George artillery matter is proceeding. Previously, Jeff and I and several members of staff attended the monthly meetings. It's been just me lately. I've been the primary point of contact because it's been document review for now. I just completed my review of their proposed local use controls procedures, which is essentially we're going to put signs up that say there may be unexploded ordnance here. And they're also preparing a training manual that district staff will be provided. It's a multi-year and potentially indefinite project because there are portions of the mountain that are not going to be able to be remediated because of slope and access issues primarily. So nothing really to report except that that's ongoing, and someday the district staff will have a training manual that deals with
more than run fast.
No, it's the 3 R's. It is, I forget now exactly what they are, but it is, retreat is one of them. So that's going to be.
So last month when you were discussing combat plane,
yeah,
it takes it to a whole new level, right?
Yeah.
I have been downrange. I know what it feels like. We do have them get close.
So is that all for legal then, without going into?
Well, one other issue that's not privileged is the Fossil Ridge litigation. You are parties to that litigation now, and the court clerk and the attorneys are attempting to set the hearing. The hearing was originally set June 28th. That was continued because we were added as a party. I need to know who the board would like to be the client representatives, if any, to attend the hearing for scheduling purposes.
What is the date proposed?
Well, that's right. We're looking at October dates now.
Oh, okay.
Could I suggest Karen and Dave?
And this does not have to be In my opinion, it could be more than two.
Okay.
Because you're not going to be discussing district business, you're just going to be attending and observing. So if you wanted to be more than two, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I would suggest Karen and myself and anybody that wants to come.
Right.
Well, we could do something.
So that, well, we don't even really need to make a motion for that.
No, I just want to know who to coordinate dates with.
Okay, thank you.
You guys are okay with Karen and me?
I am, if I was free, I wouldn't mind going. I think it'd probably be interesting.
Yeah, I'm always more than merry.
Yeah,
As long as I'm there, that's all I'm caring about.
You're always welcome. Yeah.
Okay. Then I will coordinate with Dave and Karen. We're currently looking at October 10th.
That should be fine for me.
So I guess I would like to make a motion to move into executive session.
Second.
Is this 11A?
We're on 11A.
New 11A. Okay.
The new 11A is Big Sky.
We need to vote on it.
Want to ask you to leave?
Yes,
Executive session. Thank
I
you
know
very
how
much.
that works.
You're welcome to come back in. But
Let's just keep it coming from the federal assembly, Kipling. All glowing.
No, it's not right.
Not right.
Not yet.
You said October 11th, that's a Wednesday.
October 5th.
October 5th is a Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What time?
It would probably be 9. It might be 8:30. And it's gonna change. It's gonna change again. We've gone through about a dozen dates.
Are we
still need to vote to go into executive
yes,
session.
we do.
So I made a motion.
Sure, we're okay. And I seconded.
Yes.
No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Can we close the door, please?
As the district's attorney, it is my opinion that the discussion of the matter announced in the motion to go into executive session constitutes privileged attorney-client communication. I am therefore recommending that no further record be kept until the executive session has been concluded. For the record, this is an executive session pursuant to CRS 24-6-402 sub 4 sub B for the purpose of receiving specific legal advice on the matter of the Big Sky litigation. The time is now 7:11 and I am requesting that the recording be stopped.
We're gonna do this.
The time is now 7:50 and we have resumed the recording because the attorney-client communication is finished. The executive session is concluded. The participants in the executive session were the board of directors, for the record, any person participated in the executive session believes that any systems not pre-elimination during the section third during the executive session rather than yeah, I need all four of them. Ballot quizzers. Jeff was the supplier. I don't see any. Oh, no. And goods. Yeah. Nowadays, we're talking about something. Kind of impact each other and have a lot of similarities and stuff like that. You had one first. Yes. So I did the post executive session script for this one.
Well, I was just. A lot of impact each other, and some of them don't, but trying to keep them all straight. But halfway through the conversation, realize that I'm talking about English. You talking about the pet center. It's like, no wonder we're not getting a match and match up.
Yeah. It's not a lot of fun.
Well, those of us who use I need a scorecard. And worse yet, is if you take a day off and go to hungry or something like that, they come back and like, what?
We give you enough for what you need about here for the.
Yeah, that's helpful. I just didn't know.
I thought about when I was doing what you're doing at Black Family. Just get to that, get the board something, and then I realized that doesn't translate. We didn't get to look at all the resumes that have to. Yeah, they didn't keep any of them. I'm open to anything, but that's.
Are they looking pretty good?
I'm not reading. I'm just looking at the cover letters and that's it. And the cover photos.
I look at one time.
But that was one of the frustrations of it.
Okay. I'm sorry. To get back to work. That's okay. I move that we go into executive session to discuss the Ravine Bridge. For a second.
I was second.
Discussion, if not, signify for ayes.
All right, as the district's attorney, it is my opinion that the discussion of the matter announced in the motion going into executive session constitutes the privilege of attorney-client communication and therefore.
The time is now 8:16 and I have resumed the recording because the attorney-client communication is finished. The executive session has been concluded. The participants in the executive session were the board of directors and myself, general counsel for the district. For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into an executive session occurred, please state your concerns now. So I have received communication from Lakewood City Attorney on the issue of the ravine structures. And we have a jointly drafted proposal, both for consideration for Lakewood and for Green Mountain. And I'm just going to sort of summarize it for the board. Lakewood will accept ownership, maintenance, and operation of each structure and all potential tort liability from pedestrian use of these structures. Green Mountain will accept responsibility for maintenance for pipe and pipe supports attached to each structure. Should Lakewood determine in its discretion that any structure is approaching failure and requires rehabilitation or replacement, Lakewood will formally convey such structure to Green Mountain, and Green Mountain agrees to contribute 50% of the cost of demolition of that structure and 100% cost of erecting a trestle structure sufficient to support its pipes as a replacement. Lakewood agrees to contribute 50% cost of demolition of the failing structure. Lakewood further agrees to bear all costs associated with the design, engineering, and construction of a man-rated pedestrian bridge in excess of the cost of the trestle structure if Lakewood desires to replace the structure which is approaching failure with a pedestrian use structure. However, neither Lakewood nor Green Mountain will be under any obligation to erect any structure under this agreement. Lakewood further agrees to enact erosion control measures on city park property for the purpose of eliminating erosion to each of the structures Lakewood and Green Mountain will cooperate to establish and correct any easements necessary to accomplish this agreement. And there's some additional language there that I'll get to in a minute, but Lakewood agrees to all of these terms as they relate to the north and south structure. And as to the middle structure, Lakewood has already stated that they do not wish to bear the cost of erecting a pedestrian structure, and is not willing to pay the 50% cost of demolition of the middle structure. Green Mountain, if this proposal is accepted, Green Mountain agrees to forego the barricading project, but will proceed with its current design contract for replacement of the middle structure. Green Mountain will treat the middle structure as failing and will replace it with a trestle and demolish the structure. Lakewood will further contribute $10,000 to the district, reflecting the expense of past use by citizens of Lakewood of the 3 bridges. And it's unstated in this correspondence, but he and I would jointly draft a formal agreement reflecting the terms of this agreement if the board accepts it.
Okay, I have a question for you. That was rather long.
Yes.
And I think I understand it since we've talked about it. Is it your recommendation that we accept it?
It is. I think that this represents a substantial step forward in resolving this issue, and it represents a substantial benefit to both parties.
Okay, then I would move that we accept it. The thing I can't do is verbalize what you just said, but if you could make the motion in words, I make it.
So I would like a motion approving accepting the proposal as jointly crafted and approving my joint drafting of a formal agreement with the City of Lakewood representative.
Okay, I so moved.
I will second that motion.
Discussion. I hear no discussion. All those in favor, please so signify.
Aye.
Opposed? I hear none.
Are you abstaining?
I abstain.
Okay. All right, I will inform City of Lakewood representatives that the proposal has been accepted and begin crafting the agreement.
I would like to make
by the way, good job.
Another motion that we now move into executive session to go over the legal ramifications of the red zone tank.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Wickman seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Assuming there was no discussion. Okay.
All right. Time is now 8:22, and I'm turning the recording off because this is an attorney-client privilege communication, and for the purpose of receiving specific legal advice pursuant to CRS 246402 sub 47B regarding the red zone tank litigation and negotiations. So the time is now 8:26, and I have resumed the recording because the attorney-client communication is finished. The executive session has been concluded. The participants in the executive session were the board of directors and myself, general counsel for the district. Again, if you think we talked about anything we shouldn't have, let me know. As an update on the red zone tank, we have received a proposed settlement on this matter as well. It would be that Cablaco or its representatives or its agents would pay the district $100,000 in full and final settlement of all of the red zone tank contractual issues. In exchange, Green Mountain would forego its litigation against Cablaco and would also assign any potential litigation claims against any other party involved to Cablaco. It's my strong recommendation that the board accept this and authorize me to resolve it by formal settlement agreement.
So I will make the motion that we do accept this agreement and allow Dylan to formalize it with a contractual agreement, and that we then can move forward.
Second by Mr. Wickman. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Vote.
Aye.
All 4-0. Passes, and we need to go into executive session again, I guess, don't we? For Fossil Ridge, I move that we go into executive session for the purpose of discussing Fossil Ridge.
I will second it.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
4-0.
Time is now 8:28, and I am turning off the recording because this is an attorney-client privileged communication for the purpose of receiving specific legal advice on the Fossil Ridge litigation pursuant to CRS 246402 sub 4 sub B.
By the way, every time we go in and out, do we show up for a few minutes?
The executive session has been concluded. The time is now 8:43, and I have resumed the recording. The executive session has been concluded. The participants in the executive session were the board of directors and myself, general counsel for the district. If you believe we talked about anything improperly, please let me know. Next agenda item
next is Indigo, but I would ask you.
I thought we already discussed that.
Well, we did, but only in respect to whether or not it affected Mike's strategy.
Okay, I thought we had actually even discussed Karen's letter in our.
We did, but only to show it to him to see if he had any concerns about it. Now we can have our own conversation about whether.
Yeah, have we approved that letter yet?
No, we haven't. No. Okay. And we don't necessarily need to go into executive session if everybody is comfortable with what you saw in the letter previously.
and candidly, I don't have any specific legal advice on that issue.
Okay.
I have reviewed the letter that was sent to me as a draft, and I can provide you my comments. In general, I think that it's the second draft that I've seen is fine.
Yeah, the modified. So then I would like to make a motion that we accept the second draft of our statement of position on the Indigo Metropolitan District, and that we publish that on our website. Should we also provide it to the city of Lakewood as well?
That's a discussion.
Oh, sorry. Well, so my motion is to accept Karen's letter and publish it on our website and provide it to any authority having jurisdiction that would be appropriate.
I'd second that.
Could I ask you to withdraw your second? Because
we have a discussion.
I really would love Dave to be able to do it because he and Karen had this discussion.
I'll withdraw. Yeah, I'll withdraw that.
Would you like to second it?
I can make the motion. Well, I'll second it.
Okay, so Mr. Wickman seconds. I appreciate that. Now we can discuss it.
Okay.
And that was, I mean, both were hardly honestly felt positions, and I thought they came to a good agreement. And I think that speaks well for how this board works. I think we may strongly disagree about things, but we figure out a way to make it happen. You want to say something? I can tell.
I don't want to say anything on camera.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I understand. No further discussion. Is there ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 4-0. I guess we can move on to 11F, Fed Center. This will be a long discussion or a very short one.
Fed Center?
Okay, yeah. Be interesting. Now we can have
okay. Because I guess I also felt like we discussed that in the previous.
Not even remotely.
Okay.
I do have some comments on that one that are best in executive session.
Okay, then I'll make a motion that we move into executive session to review the Federal Center property development issue.
Second that.
Mr. Wendell seconds. Any discussion? If not, call vote. All 4-0.
The time is now 8:46, and I'm recommending that the recording be turned off because this constitutes an attorney-client communication for the purpose of receiving specific legal advice on the Federal Center property development pursuant to CRS 246402 sub 4 sub B.
The executive session has been concluded. The executive session of the board of directors and myself, general counsel for the district, the time is now 9:16, and we are doing the recording. So if you think you got that, check now.
We need to think. We know.
From your discussion,
additional
under the conditions of the healthcare for president, so now we can site and see if we can figure out how to get some of that.
Well, like I said, I just want them to pay the cost. And, well, I guess I shouldn't say that. Probably the first concern would be the health of our employees. Second concern. That to me would be liability. But I'm not saying again, like I think they was going to sign this huge. Like also here about Houston Fair, they signed this thing about the speedway, and then they probably initiated 3 suits against Ben and they're failed to perform. I mean, I think when the bill gets, I mean, it even limits. Yeah, I hope that
and instead of recourse against them at that point.
Any other new business for that? For a second. There's no discussion other than that. All in favor? 4-0. We are, thank you very much for tolerating my process.